This is TWiT.
Apple has confirmed it's been discontinued. When supplies run out, they're going to stop selling it. Now, there are two ways to look at that. One is, in fact, they're pointing people to the latest 27-inch iMac, that the non-Pro iMacs are so good you don't need an iMac Pro. I choose to interpret it that Apple's going to do a M1 or M something version of the iMac Pro sooner than later. You think, Alex?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that. I think that Apple's in the M series chips and the
so
entire
good.
infrastructure is
so
advanced that there is not any reason for them. I think that they just need to. I mean, they're obviously going to have to decide how they're turning all these things down in that process. But they're no longer trying to kind of clump together this kind of hodgepodge of hardware that to make it as good as they can. I think that there's going to be something that has a screen. Probably next iMac will most likely just be way more powerful than the iMac Pro whenever that comes out. Yeah. Whether it's,
I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? That you might be getting on a Mac Mini that's more powerful than the $6,000 iMac Pro that I bought a couple of years ago.
We have a bunch of Mac Minis and they are just screaming.
Yeah,
like the M1s, they're just so fast. You just can't believe what you bought.
I'm starting to think an all-in-one is not a good idea. Because one of the problems I have with my iMac Pro is that I'm stuck with that screen, which is fine. It was fine in 2017. It's a very good screen. But there are other form factors I'd like to look at. I'd like to look at a 59-inch curved widescreen, perhaps.
Well, that's why we invest in the Mac Minis, is because you have so much capability in them, and we can put any kind of monitors or any sets of at least 2 monitors easily, 6 if you get really creative. But you. It makes it really, really easy. That said, I really do like the fact that I can just pick up a whole computer and set it somewhere or hang it somewhere, and it's just the whole thing is all there, and I don't have to figure out how I'm going to wire it all together. So I think that there's an advantage to having a screen that has a computer in it as well.
Not if it's a long-term hold.
I mean,
for you, yes.
There's definitely something, the all-in-one form factor that Apple has now pioneered for years, since the original iMac.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is is clearly incredibly convenient, but it's definitely got a usage cap, right? So one of the things that I notice, particularly where I work, where we're in a shared working space where everybody's a startup, is there's not a single there's not a single desktop computer like in the building, because everybody has a 27-inch 4K monitor on their desk and an Apple laptop. I mean, also nobody has Windows laptops, but you have a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro and a monitor and a keyboard, and you pick it up and take it between wherever you want. And that is sort of the ultimate all-in-one form factor. And I think what a lot of pros are looking for is not an iMac Pro with an M1. It's the mega MacBook Pro with an M1. I've got the 16-inch MacBook Pro at the moment, and it's such a beautiful and fantastic machine. But with an M1 in it would just be like unstoppable. So that's what I'm holding out hope for. I'm hoping this year. Alex, am I going to get one this year?
I have no idea. I have no idea when I think our chances are pretty good. I think our chances are pretty good for the MacBook Pros. I mean, I think that we're probably not going to see the Mac Pros until next year, but I think that the other machines most likely by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have any. The interesting thing will be to see where they take the chips. Is it going to be a M1X or M2 or those types of things? And because some of the rumors are the bigger chips have a lot of cores.
I just want to know if I'm going to need new wheels for an M1 computer. How much do I have to pay for extra M2 wheels?
Yeah, exactly. I think
I want a Mac Mini. And I bet you do too, Alex. I want a beefed up Mac Mini. The one they're selling is great, but I'd like one with more RAM, more power, more processors, more connectivity.
I think the way I use Mac Minis, because I use them so much as glue, that they're like, it's fine. Like it does what it needs to do. It's really fast. I have a whole bunch of the 8 gig ones because we use them for camera controllers for our remote kits. Mm-hmm. So I have so I put on Resolve to see what they would do. I didn't really expect.
They're really appliances for you.
Yeah, I mean, we just use them as little, because we use the smaller version of that as like the B-Link, these little PCs that we use that are like tiny, like these little boxes. And so like we have lots of little glue that we use to tie things together. And in their space, the M1s are really, they're really powerful. And I think that the difference between 16 and 18, because 8 and 16, for the kind of thing I do, doesn't really mean anything to me, because I'm not really using them for that heavy horsepower.
Right.
But I think that I am interested to see if they upgrade those at some point to a 32 gig, Mac Mini when they release the bigger ones or whatever. That form factor, as long as it stays in the 1U form factor, because we can put 2 of those in a rack. That's kind of what we look at, is we take the 2 Mac Minis and they fit into a rack. And Sonnet makes these enclosures, and you put them in there and stick it through it. And so those are the kind of things that we worry about.
Here's my speculation on this discontinuation of their $5,000. That's the starting point. iMac Pro, which I have again on my desk with a Xeon W processor and 64 gigs of RAM and all. This thing is a beast. Is they don't want to sell this and be embarrassed when the benchmarks come out for the next MacBook Pro and it's 10 times faster.
Even if you're not gonna like, they're signaling to everyone that this is what you're gonna get, and if it comes out this fall or whatever, that what they don't want. I mean, they don't need the money. I mean, they don't. Apple doesn't need the money,
but they like
for
the money.
iMac sales. They like it. But I mean, the thing is, what I mean, they're at this point they're spending most of their money giving it back to investors. And so the thing is that the iMac sales are such a small part of their. I mean, it's just like a tiny little sliver of income that they can afford to just do it from a point of view of, we don't want people to be upset that they bought something that I think it does signal to us that they think that the next iMac will be considerably faster than the iMac Pro is today.
Yeah. I think
that's a pretty good signal that they don't want you to keep buying that thinking it's a Pro and spending a ton of money when one's going to come out for $3,000 that is screaming like 10 times faster or 5 times faster or whatever.
That would be so I mean, according to everywhere that according to The Verge, actually, it looks like Mac sales in total, so all Macs, including laptops, were just under 10% of Apple's revenue, it looks like, in 2020.
Wow.
So,
and that was up. By the way, that
iMac
was up a
Pro
lot from the year before. So,
well, and also that's the vast majority of those are portable.
Right.
Like the vast majority of the sales are are laptops.
Yeah.